Hey, welcome back to the podcast. Even though I walk, I'm your host, Steve Mills. Today's Veterans Day, and I am mindful of those men and women with whom I served over my 32 and a half years of time in the service. I appreciate each and every one of you. You sacrificed, you served, you gave. Thank you to the families. Thank you for keeping the home fires going, for getting the cars fixed and the appliances taken care of, and the emergency surgeries that you had. And while we were deployed downrange on a ship somewhere in the middle of the ocean and we couldn't come home, you took care of us. So thank you. I couldn't think of a more appropriate podcast on Veterans Day than to share with you my interview with World War II veteran Johnnie Q. He is a national hero, a true treasure, and I count him as a good friend. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this interview. I'm here with the infamous Johnnie Q. What an amazing man that I met last month in Washington, D.C., with a group Forever Young Veterans. We went around to different war memorials, and Johnnie Q was the star of the show. People were coming up and getting their pictures taken with them, and all the pretty ladies were coming up asking for your number. And you kept telling them 99, and they said, no, your phone number. Well, Johnny, thank you so much for joining me. What a pleasure and what an honor for me to be able to chat with you.
My pleasure.
Yeah. So you're 99. You turn one. When do you turn 100?
January 24th.
My goodness. And you've seen a lot in your life, haven't you?
Yeah, quite a bit. Yes. Good and bad.
Yeah, definitely. So, and we'll kind of get into that a little bit later, but tell me a little bit about you. You're from New Jersey, and tell me about your early life.
Well, I was born and raised in Vineland, New Jersey. Uh, Went through school here. And later on, I became an internal revenue agent. And I worked for the government for 31 years until I retired.
Worked for the IRS. Well, you're the second IRS agent I've ever met in my life. The
Oh.
first one wasn't under such friendly circumstances, but actually, it was a good experience. I owed the government a little bit more money, and they were nice about it. They didn't threaten to send me up the river, and they were actually quite pleasant. I was nervous as all get out, but that's amazing. And so, the one thing we have in common is you are a Navy veteran.
Yes.
And yeah, as am I. I did 32 years active duty, 10 in the Air Force as a firefighter, and then 22 as a Navy chaplain. And
Wonderful.
yeah, it was a good ride. But
You're to be commended.
well, thank you. My wife and family are to be commended.
Okay. Yes.
They're the true heroes in that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
As I was out having fun, going to all the all the ports, they were home fixing the dishwasher and all the other good stuff.
Yeah.
So you grew up in New Jersey, and then the war starts, right? December 1941, the Japanese attack Pearl Harbor. Where were you when you heard those news, and what did you think about that?
I was a sophomore in high school. I remember it very distinctly. It was a Sunday afternoon. I was playing a pinball machine at a service station, and all of a
Oh.
sudden I heard the report come over that the Japanese had bombed Pearl Harbor. And little did I know at the time how that was going to affect my life.
Mhm. And how did it affect your life?
Well, I was a sophomore in high school, and out of high school, all the boys are being drafted into the Army, and I didn't want to go in the Army because I knew I'd never make it, so I joined the Navy.
Mhm.
I went up to Philadelphia and enlisted, much to the dismay of my parents, but I didn't want to get into the Army because I couldn't see myself carrying that rifle over my head and waist up to my waist in water. I said, no, no, I can never
Mhm.
do that. So, so that's what happened. I joined the Navy and was assigned to ship and served in the South Pacific.
What was your job in the Navy?
I was a radio operator.
Okay.
Yes.
So you must have heard some, pretty interesting transmissions in your time.
Yes, I had the distinct honor while we were off the coast of Guam, we were getting ready for the invasion of Japan. I was on duty on the midnight shift when I took the message that the Japanese had surrendered. Well,
Mm.
I abandoned all protocol. I was supposed to get the message, give it to the communication officer, and have him okay it. I just ran down to the captain's quarters and banged on his doors. I says, Captain, I got a very important message. You know what he said? You better damn well be important. You just woke me up. Well, when he read it, all hell broke loose on the ship. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, so what was the general feeling on the ship? I'm sure that, there was a sense of somber or dread of going to Okinawa and invading, but then this news pops, and what was the celebration like?
Well, as I said, it was midnight, and a lot of the men were in their bunks, and I was the youngest guy on the ship. I was 19 or 20 years old, and most of the men on the ship were married with family back home. And when the captain sounded general quarters that the war was over, I actually seen grown men cry. I mean,
Uh,
they jumped out of their sacks with their skivvies on and hugging each other, kissing each other. I mean, you couldn't imagine. I said, here I am, a young guy ready for adventure, and they're all glad the war is over.
so after that, where did you guys go?
Well, we were in Guam, and then we went back to Pearl Harbor. That was our home port. And then from there, we were decommissioned. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how soon after that did you get out of the, Navy?
Oh, I guess it was several months before I was mustered out. A lot of paperwork, a lot of red tape.
Mhm.
I remember very well. Yes.
It takes a lot more work to get out of the service than it does to get in, doesn't it?
You
Yeah,
said that.
I
Yeah.
discovered that when I put my retirement request in. I mean, it took a solid year to get everything complete, and I still wasn't quite sure. And I had one of my administrative guys. He said, "Well, sir, your this paperwork's not complete. I'm not sure what we're going to do." And I said, "Well, I don't know what we're going to do, but I know what I'm going to do. I'm getting on the plane next week and leaving." So after that, that's a you problem, not a me problem. Um, my goodness. So you were in for what, 4 years or so?
Yeah, about 3.5 years. Yes.
Okay.
Be exact.
Yeah.
Yes.
And in that time, I mean, being at war, so I've been Iraq and Afghanistan, but what the Navy you were in was vastly different than the Navy I was in. When email would go down and we couldn't send an email to our family back home for more than 24 hours, we would get upset. But you had mail. You had mail call. And
Uh-huh.
what was life like on the ship back then?
Very close quarters. Our ship had 55 men. It was an LSM, a landing ship medium, where we
Mm,
carried tanks and troops to various islands. So it was close quarters. Yes.
mhm.
Three bunks high. So it wasn't like living at home.
Right. Yeah, and the chow, how was the Navy chow?
Very good. Oh, yeah. 3 meals a day.
Mhm.
Oh, good. Yep.
Did you have a favorite food?
Pancakes.
Yeah. Kinda hard for a Navy cook to mess those up, isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I think I was partial to sliders, to
Oh,
hamburgers, and,
yeah.
my last ship was a carrier, so you don't talk about spacious living, my goodness. Um,
Uh-huh.
but yeah, so you would take troops and tanks, was it Marines or soldiers that
Yeah.
you would take?
Soldier, Army. Yeah.
Okay.
Small
And then,
tanks and Army personnel. Yes. Okinawa, Guam, Saipan, all those islands out in the Asiatic Pacific.
mm,
Yep. Yep.
so you saw quite a bit of different operations then, going in and launching them so that
Well,
they could make a,
I'll tell
landing.
you, we was never on the first wave because that first wave was when they really took the hit. We were usually the second or third wave refurbishing the islands with various materials, tanks, and men. So we would hit the island when the island was mostly taken. And I could see the devastation. I thought, oh my God, what those boys must have went through on that first wave. And yeah, no, yeah, we didn't see much of that, but we saw the aftermath of it.
Earlier, you talked about you wanted to join the Navy because you didn't think you had what it would take to be in the Army. And one of the things I like about the different services is we give each other grief, right? We'll tease the Marines and the Army and the Air Force, but we have a lot of respect for the Army for what they did. Like you said, they would go ashore in that first wave, and they were the same age as you, maybe even just a touch younger and older with families. And the bravery that they showed was just, it's unfathomable, really.
Yeah.
And so, I hold the Army in the highest regard, except when it comes to the Army Navy game, then we can push the Army aside.
That's true. You're right, though. There's men that hit that beach. Oh boy, I could just
Mhm.
visualize what they went through. I mean, yeah,
Yeah, I reading a book now about the landing in Sicily, and it's called I think it's called The Liberator, and it's about a young army officer, and it progresses his life through. And again, just the bravery to step off that ship, just to go through that, and the burden that they held. But yeah, so you saw a lot of stuff. You saw the aftermath when you came back from the Navy. So you came back to and it's pronounced Vinland, right? Vinland, New Jersey?
I came back to Vineland. Yes.
Island, okay. And so what was that like? What was your coming home?
Oh well, needless to say, I surprised my parents by coming home without them knowing it. I I'm gonna come home and surprise them, and
Mhm.
I mean, I could still see the look on their face when I opened that back door, and
Mm.
it's quite a it was quite an event. Yes.
Just amazing. When I came back from Iraq, my wife said, "Do not surprise me. You let me know when you're gonna be home. I do not want to be surprised." And
Yeah, that's right.
I didn't. But yeah, so a great reunion at home, and then did you get a job and start working, and then did you plan on becoming an IRS agent? Was that your dream from being a child, or is that something that just kinda happened?
I went to school under the GI Bill and got a degree in accounting, and from there I took a civil service test to become an IRS agent. I passed the test, and I was assigned to a post of duty in Camden, New Jersey, and
Mm.
that's where I spent 31 years of my life
Wow.
until I retired. Yeah, I seen a lot of I seen a lot of strange stuff with the IRS too, let alone the Navy.
Okay, so what strange stuff did you see in the IRA?
Well, when you're an IRS agent, people don't sort of welcome you too well, you know. But a lot of stories I could tell. I remember one time we were doing a project down the shore. We were investigating these landlords who were renting out homes down the shore during the summer. And I remember knocking on the door, and I said, I'm from the IRS. I come here to examine your records. And so the guy says, so he hollered up to his wife, the man from the IRS is here to look over our books. And she hollered down to him, which ones should I bring down? The ones that we keep for ourselves or the one for the government? I thought he was going to kill her. I should bring down both sets. Needless to say, it ended up a fraud case. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Goodness.
yeah. Other stories, but anyway,
Well, again, you're the second one that I've met. You're the nicest one that I've met. That's for sure. Yeah. So you did the IRS. What did you do after you retired?
After I retired, I didn't do too much. I did a little accounting on the side on my own business, had a few accounts, but I didn't do too much. I just took it easy
Mhm.
and just enjoyed retirement. Yeah.
Yeah, I tried that. I lasted a year and then started working again a little bit. But mainly it was because my wife was keeping me too busy around the house, and I said, "I gotta get a job," and she was like, "Why?" I'm like, "Have you seen your honey-do list? It's 5 pages, double-sided," and, I said, "I'm too busy. I need a break."
You
And
had a
then
honey-do list, yeah.
yeah, I couldn't resist. And even just having a few days off kind of in between jobs, um, she said, "Oh, hey, since you're gonna be off for a few days," I'm like, "Well, I've got a podcast I have to prepare for, sweetheart. I I got this to do." Yeah, so back to your Navy time, and even though you didn't see, a lot of you weren't the first wave in, was there any, I would say, hairy moments or scary or any times that you were frightened?
Well, I'll tell you a story that happened. We were off the coast of Guam or Okinawa somewhere, and it was sort of dull duty. It was nothing was happening for a while. And it was calm, and I was on duty in a radio shack, and a friend of mine who was a signalman on the bridge, his name was Harry Hagan. I thought, I think I'll make up a phony message, send it to Harry so he get excited. So I clicked the switches so it wouldn't go out over the airwaves. So the message read something like, enemy planes approaching. Be on the lookout. Well, Harry, he got the message and he got so damn excited, he just ran down to the captain's quarters before I could intercept him. And he banged on the door, says, Captain, I got an important message. Cap said, what is it? He said, enemy planes approaching. Captain hit general quarters. I said, shit, I'm in big trouble. I sat at my desk there with the radio. I think I sat there for a half hour wondering, what the hell am I going to do? Because everybody's on general quarters. They're looking in their binoculars. My God. So I finally said, well, I gotta go up and tell the captain it was just a phony message. So I got enough nerve to go up and say, Captain, I got an important thing to tell you. He said, get out of here, Johnny Q. He says, can't you see we're on alert here? I said, listen, I just want to tell you, I made up that message to Harry. It was just a fake message. Well, he looked at me and says, what? I said, it was only a fake message. I just made it up to get Harry shook up. I'll see you in my quarters at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Sharp. Case closed. Bada boom, bada bang. Needless to say, I didn't sleep much that night. That I'm going to get kicked out of the Navy. Yeah. That morning, I knocked on the door and the captain says, come in. He said, Johnny Q, it's a good thing I like you, because I'd have your ass kicked out of the Navy so fast you wouldn't know what hit you. Oh, I said, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I couldn't say yes, sir fast enough. But tell you what I'm going to do. As long as I'm captain of this ship and you're on the ship, you're never going to get off. How's that? Yes, sir. Yes, I was so tickled to death. But I never got off the ship for about a year. Everybody got liberty when they hit Pearl Harbor. I was assigned the gangplank duty all that time. I never got off, but it was a small price to pay for what I did. Yeah.
So my assumption is that's the last fake message you ever sent.
Yeah. Never forget that. Boy.
So on the ship, any close friends, any shipmates that you met, and did you stay in touch with them after the service?
Yes, I did. One real fond friend of mine, his name was Harry Hagan. the one I pulled the trick on. We became very close friends. He lived in Brooklyn, a typical Brooklynite. To come down and visit me, and we went up to visit his family, and he passed away a few years ago. He was the one I kept most touch with, and a fellow named John Erda in Pennsylvania. We kept close contact. But after that, everybody dispersed, and the war was over. Go back to life.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? How you're at war, you're in a war zone, and then all of a sudden it's done and you're over and you're back to your normal life. But there is something to be said about staying in touch with your buddies from the service. And you can go months or even years without seeing them or talking to them. But when you meet up, it's just it was like yesterday, just that instant connection, right? And I'm
That's
sure
right.
you and Harry talked about that fake message
Yeah,
almost
me
every
and
time you
Harry.
got together.
I remember Harry, very well. He used to go. The first thing he would hit when he went on Liberty was a bar. He liked to drink, and he would. I remember one time when we were pulling out of port, he was running down the pier. He just made the ship, or he'd have been AWL. AWL. He was, but anyway, Harry was coming to visit me, and I told my wife Rose. I said, Rose, I got to go out and stack up on some booze because Harry's coming to see me, and I better be ready because he likes to drink. Anyway, Harry came. Hey, Harry, come on in, have a drink. John, I gave up drinking. I go to AAA meetings. I had all this booze I bought for him, and
Yeah.
here Harry gave up drinking. Right now, I want to also tell you that later on in life, I volunteered on the battleship New Jersey. It pulled into port in Camden, New Jersey, and they were looking for people to volunteer and give tours. So me and a friend of mine, Don Tricano, we went up to school for 3 months of schooling, and I was a tour guide for 20 years on the battleship New Jersey, and it's still there. It's still there at the Camden.
Yeah. Those
Yeah.
battleships are amazing, aren't they? They're just massive.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I really enjoyed that. Yeah, I don't do it anymore because I can't climb up the ladders. Yeah, but interesting. I met a lot of interesting people.
Yeah, I was gonna say, people come through and they meet you, bona fide World War II veteran. So you're
Yeah,
not just talking the talk, you've walked it. You've experienced it.
and it's amazing. Most of the people that came were from out of state, California, all over the country except New Jersey. And most of them visiting the ship. It was amazing.
It holds a special place in my heart. When I was 15, my oldest brother lived in Washington State, and the Mighty Mo was mothballed in Bremerton. And so he and I took a day trip, and we were able to take a tour of the deck. So Missouri was the very first Navy ship I set foot on. And then she was the last Navy ship that I stepped off
How
on.
about that?
So it was kinda neat. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
interesting. Yeah.
mhm. Yep.
Yeah.
So looking back on your life, what would you say have been some banner moments? Obviously the war and maybe a few of the other times in your life, but if you could just have, like, 1 or 2 moments where it impacted you, what would those have been?
Well, this is going to sound funny, but it isn't funny. While we were off the coast of Guam, we were assembling for the possible invasion of Japan, and we got mail call, and the guy was distributing mail, and he said, "Johnny Q, got a letter for you." It was from my girlfriend back home. Wow, couldn't wait to open it up. Guess what it said? Dear John, got a Dear John letter. Most devastating moment in my life, like in the Navy. It
Mhm.
really hit me hard. But I came home and met another gal named Rosie. and we had a wonderful life. Yeah.
Well, you're a young guy. Everyone's getting letters talking about the girl back home. Hey, here's a picture of her, and then you get this letter, and then all of a sudden, it crushes your heart. But then you meet Rosie.
Yet turned out
How long were you married to Rosie?
close to 50 years. Yeah. Yeah. We had a good life together, and we had a good son.
I enjoyed getting to know John and chat with him when we were in DC.
Oh, I'm glad. Yeah. He's a nice
Yeah.
boy.
Hmm. Yeah. So speaking of Washington D.C. and Forever Young Veterans, you have your name tag. So we met Washington D.C. with Forever Young Veterans. What was that like for you? How did that impact you?
I'm telling you, that organization really deserves a lot of credit. Diane and her family. I mean, that's the third trip I've been on with them, and they couldn't treat us any better. I mean, they couldn't do enough for you, me and my son. I mean, and just a wonderful organization. And I met some wonderful people during those trips, fellows during the Vietnam War and Korean War. And I
Mhm.
met World War II veterans on my previous trips. I'm telling you, that's a wonderful organization. That's all I can
Yeah.
say. Yes, yes.
And it brings healing to us, doesn't it?
Pardon me?
It brings healing to us.
Yes, it does. Yes, sure it does.
Yeah. So, you ended your military service in the 40s. So quite a while ago. And then you lived your life, and then you go on these trips and you get together with these veterans. And what impresses me with that organization is the veterans come from different places of the country. They don't know each other. And within not even a day, they're family, they're brothers and
Yeah,
sisters. And,
absolutely.
and that's the healing part is that,
Yeah,
that togetherness, knowing that we all went through stuff, some more stuff than others, some less, but we all went through it. We all felt it. We all went off to war and we came back. And some of our fellow brothers and sisters didn't. And,
that's
and
right.
that's the, at the wall, watching the sorrow, seeing the hurt, but also the healing. And, I saw several go up to the wall and put their hand over the name of their fallen. And it's inspiring is not the right word, but I guess healing is. It doesn't take away the hurt or the pain, but it brings that healing. And did you feel that? Did you sense that in this trip and in the others?
Absolutely. What you say is absolutely true. When I'm around those veterans, I just sometimes I could feel their pain. I can feel what they're thinking.
Mm.
And oh no, you're absolutely right. When you're with a bunch of veterans from other wars, you fit right in and you can just feel their emotion. Yep, yep,
Yes. Yeah,
yep.
and they feel yours as well.
I'm
Part
sure.
of my task was to sit back and observe and help whoever needed to be helped. And I watched them interact with you and that you inspired them. And just the fact that you're out there and being with them, it was absolutely incredible to watch. And even myself, I came back and I told a friend about the trip and they said, I think it was as healing for you as it was for them. And I'm like, "Oh, absolutely. Oh my goodness, yes." Yeah, that's why I love doing it. I love serving and helping, but selfishly, it helps me as well. And you're right. Diane and that organization cannot receive enough accolades.
Right.
And think about how many trips. That was her first or so trip with.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
And that was my third. And boy, I'll tell you, I enjoyed every one of them.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, again, I appreciate the time. you know, just meeting you was a joy, and doing this, you're going to impact a few more people with your life, Johnny Q.
Oh, thank you, and you're so kind. I appreciate this interview. Yes.
Definitely. I told my wife, I said, I hope all the technology works. I tested it out. Sometimes it did, sometimes it didn't. And she says, well, what happens if it doesn't? I said, well, I'm going to get on a plane and go out and visit this guy because I'm not letting this one go. And I may still do that. You never know. I haven't been to Jersey in a
Well,
while and
be wonderful.
might need to get out there.
Okay.
So, do you have anything? I mean, you're 99. You've lived a long life. You've seen a lot of things. You've learned a lot of things that most people haven't. What would be one or two lessons in life that you could share that would help myself and even younger generations?
Well, the one thing that comes to mind is always treat others as you would treat yourself. Always be kind to others, communicate with others. That's the main thing. If you can do that, you'll live a long life.
And that's why that captain liked you so much.
I can still see him now, Johnny. Johnny Q, you'll never get off this ship as long as I'm captain.
Well, again, it's been a pleasure, and I look forward to chatting with you again. Okay?
Okay. And thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right, Johnny, you take care of yourself.
Anchors away.